Hello everybody, it's Roger from Skateboard Canada. Thanks for joining me once again. What have we got for you today? Another great guest, this time someone from across our country, all the way from Ontario, situated now in Hope, BC, operating an indoor skateboard park called HMI Skate Park. Helps out with Ripper Skate Mag, instrumental in the skateboarding upbringing of Andy Anderson. I would like to welcome Hippie Mike, all the way from Hope, BC. Welcome, Mike.
How's it going, man?
Very good. Mike, thanks for taking time. Talk to Skateboard Canada. You've got an interesting story that I would like to get across to people that tune in. And let's get started here, Mike. You're a skater from a few decades in. You're from Ontario. How did you get started on the skateboard, Mike?
You know, I think a lot of people our age will always say that Back to the Future was a big part of a lot of people starting to skateboard, and just that whole community around me was all buying skateboards in the summer of 1986 after that movie came out. And so, you know, I went to Canadian Tire, dropped $40 and got a Dominion Complete, and that was that. We were doing bonuses and power slides, trying to board slide and 50-50 little curbs and whatever. We were 7 years old, you know.
I can relate, Mike. I had a DSC board myself, and I also remember Back to the Future. Totally cool, taking me back there. Now, Mike, fast forward a little bit. You eventually left Ontario, headed out west, and stuck with the skateboard. Where did you land out west?
Yeah, so me and my wife, we drove out here from Ontario in 1998 and got a place right on Hastings Street in North Burnaby. And so we skateboarded a lot at Confederation Park. That's where we kind of met everyone out here.
So you've been in the game for quite a while, Mike. What's it like running an indoor skate park in Canada? I know I want to cut right into the nitty gritty here. You're doing something unique. You're doing something challenging. Tell me about running an indoor skate park in Canada, a for-profit indoor skate park. Profit,
you have to go into you have to go into this type of business knowing that it's not going to make money. That's number one. So an indoor skate park in Canada, there might be some places where it could profit a lot and other places where you're just going to get by. So you have to be very creative in how you can bring in your income. I literally built this indoor park because here's a place that had never had something like this, you know, and in Hope, BC, there's only 5,000 to 7,000 people. So the generations ahead of these kids, they have an outdoor skate park that they helped create and design and all that sort of stuff. And it's getting weathered and old, and it's, you know, it beats your board up if you kick it away and that sort of stuff. And myself living in Sunshine Valley, where winter hits hard up there, we're 2,300 feet high. You know, we get up to 20 feet of snow over the winter. There's nowhere to skateboard. And so after going through a lot of surgeries and rehab and stuff, I found myself again wanting to get back to what I always enjoyed, which was just bringing up the next generation. I figured, you know, let's open up an indoor spot where everybody can come and hang out together. All ages are welcome, and let's do it in this small town where the rent's cheap and the people need something like this. And it came at a time during, you know, COVID, where everything was being shut down and no one was supposed to go anywhere and all this stuff. And I opened it right in the heat of that, knowing that these people need a place to go.
Yeah.
And that's what it's for.
Wow, great job for one, Mike. You're right. It's not. You can't be just profit motivated in your position. You do a lot more than think about making money there.
Oh yeah.
You've got a background in carpentry. You're a journeyman, hammering nails. Now, let's talk about that. Not everybody makes it in the pro skateboard world, but your skills have definitely helped in the skateboard world being a carpenter.
Oh yeah. So when I moved to BC, I think we were 19 years old, and the job that I got was in a custom cabinet shop, and I was their first employee. So I literally learned every single thing possible from the owner himself, right? And then I took over kind of operating the business for him, like supervising it, right? And from that point, I just continued on with woodworking. I always did it during high school and that sort of stuff, and just love to build stuff, especially unique things, right? I don't necessarily like to build the same thing over and over. I like to build things once and then figure out a whole new thing to build. And I ran my own cabinet shop for 5 to 10 years. I can't remember how long. But I closed it for personal reasons, and just always kept the woodworking side active by building ramps in my yard and that sort of stuff, and for friends. And so when it came to building this place, it was cool because I knew I could build the entire thing myself. And luckily I had a lot of people come and help me, but they just followed my plans, and off we went.
Now, Mike, how much space have you got there? And we're going to look at a couple photos here in a minute or two, but how did you decide on what to put in the space that you picked out in Hope, BC there?
Yeah, so this entire building is over 6,000 square feet. Wow. But I use a big chunk of that for my workshop. So I have that in the back where I can go out there and do whatever I got to do. So I think we used about 2,500 to 3,000 square feet for the skate park, and then we still have a little chunk for the store, right? And I don't know if you know Vaughn Neville, but he used to shoot photos all the time for SBC and for concrete and everything. he got a hold of me and he said, shoot me your plan and I'll put it into AutoCAD, right? And so I just kind of, I walked in the door here, I knew exactly what I wanted. A lot of wall rides, a lot of flow and stuff for every level to be able to skate together, right? So we're starting with small stuff and working our way up to the bigger. Everything under here is still under, 6 feet in transition wise, other than the wall rides. So I sent him kind of my sketches of what I wanted to do, and he put it all into his program and sent it back to me and said, yeah, some of it will work, some of it won't. And then we just started, configuring it from there to see how to maximize the space the best way, right? It's an awkward shape. It's not a big old square or rectangle. It's more like an L shape, right? So that comes into play as well. You got to have corners and you got to know where the flow is going to take you. But I built it for someone that's really good. Say like Andy Anderson, for instance, when he's here, he can hit the line that I built, that you can start in one corner and hit everything in here without pumping or without pushing once, just by pumping, right? Cool. Everything interjoins. And so to the naked eye, you just see obstacles and features and you're like, I ride this part and I ride that part. But as you get really good, you can flow the entire part together.
Super cool.
That kind of came from, sorry to interrupt you, that kind of came from when we were rebuilding Leaside, right? Because I was one of the original people of Leaside when it was wood. And then I also helped out starting to get it into concrete mode. And one of the biggest things I saw as it was going to concrete was all the little features that kept you on your board and regained your speed. And then when we designed Chuck Bailey's skate park in Surrey, we did the same thing. Every time you come down a ramp, there's something you can touch to regain your speed, and you never have to take your foot off your board. So I wanted that mentality in here, right? Maybe because I'm lazy.
Works for me.
Skateboard a long time.
I'm with you. You mentioned Andy Anderson. You've been working with him for quite a while. Talk about that a bit, Mike.
Yeah, we've been friends for 18 years, since he was 7, and I was about his age now, 25. And, I was teaching lessons for the city of Surrey. In 2003, I started doing that. And his sister, Alex, she was in my lessons. And the lesson category was age 9 to 13. So halfway through the week, his mom came over and said, would you allow my son into the next class? He's not 9, he's only 7, but but he's really good. He can go in and out of that huge bowl. And this is at the White Rock Park. So like, he's 7 years old. He could rip in and out of the bowl. He could do like 50-50 grinds and stuff on the quarter pipes and whatever. And I said, yeah, sure. You know, as long as he's not slowing down the lesson, he's actually going to motivate the older kids to get better. So that was how our relationship started. And then I started teaching him privately after the summer was over, just twice a week. His parents would pull him out of school and we'd meet up for 2 hours each time at different parks and just work on skateboarding together. And, you know, it just grew from there. Like he would come to all the Hippie Mike's Tour de Surrey contests and any other events I was doing. And you knew that kid was just naturally good at skateboarding and probably other things as well. But once he was around 15 or so, I decided to kind of open up my door to him a little more. You know, like when you're an adult, you don't want to like have kids around you when you're doing things that, you know, they shouldn't be seeing, right? And there's a lot of partying going on around me at my house and that sort of stuff because we had lots of ramps and whatever. And so I didn't want him around that type of stuff. But once he was about 15, I was like, okay, we're gonna let Andy in to our group and kind of like take him under our wing a little more. And I sponsored him on protest skateboards, and then, you know, I just started filming him and shooting photos all the time and putting it on the websites and just pumping him up, right? And anyone who's ever filmed or taken photos of Andy, even at a young age and all the way till now, loves it because you're guaranteed to get footage. He knows how to just stay on his board, right? And I would take him to places that the normal skateboarder wouldn't even think to skate because that's the stuff I like to skate. And that fit into his brain as well because Andy's very eccentric, right? And so together we just bonded at a young age and kept that bond going. And even today, like, you know, if we're together, it's not like, hey man, I haven't seen you in forever. It's like we were together yesterday, right? And it's really cool to have that type of bond with someone. I think I have it with a lot of people, but it's nice to have it with him and to see where skateboarding has taken him, right? I mean, I used to travel with him. We'd go down to the States to like the Dam contest or whatever the border was putting on and that sort of stuff. And I just kind of coach him from the background and that sort of stuff. And now to see him just traveling the world and being in the Olympics and just having fun. I think that's the most important thing that I always respect about Andy is that he still just has fun on his skateboard. You know, it's not about being the champion. It's not about being the legend that everyone remembers for being the best at whatever. He just wants to go have fun. And the more you put the other pressure on him, the less fun he's going to have. And that's where growing up, I try to protect him from that sort of stuff. Right? Like even when he was going to get sponsored by Powell, like George Powell gets a hold of me to ask me if he's allowed to sponsor Andy. Like, am I allowed to take Andy from your team and sponsor him? And I was like, for sure. If there was someone in the world that I want Andy to be sponsored by, it's Powell Peralta, because look at what you guys have created, right? But I said, major condition, you must promise me that you keep promoting him, because if you take everything that I'm giving him and putting him in the spotlight all day, even though my channels are small compared to yours, he's in the spotlight all day. And if you take that away, now he's just getting free boards. And so that agreement was right from the start. It was like, you know, he's going to have his own shape. We were making the shape for him at that time. So that was an agreement that he was going to go pro for Powell at some point with his own shape. And until then, they promote him as much as they can, wherever they can. And it's, you know, it was a difficult task because of the helmet, right? But they pushed it. I mean, if there was any company that was willing to do it and to put themselves on the line like that, it's Powell Peralta.
Interesting.
So it was a win-win all around. And I'm proud of the kid, you know, and we love each other. We're family.
The whole country watched him compete in the Olympics this past summer, Mike. Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. Mike, we have a couple photos that you sent over. That Andy story just rocked us, but let's go through a couple of photos about and from the skate park that you sent to us and tell us about them. Just let the folks at home know what we're talking about here. What you got here, Mike?
So this is just a sign outside. One of my goals about this place was to not soup it all up outside and make it look super fancy. I just left it looking super run down, and people don't even know we're in here, especially during the COVID time. Like I said, you know, you walk in this door, you're in your own planet.
Cool.
Leave the rest outside. And so we put one sign outside on the wall, and this was designed by a kid, Jory. He is a White Rock kid, and he entered it into the logo contest. He didn't win, but I really enjoyed the logo, and I wanted to use it as well. And Ariel and Troy, friends of mine, they painted it up one day outside.
Awesome. Great. Love it. Wow, a younger skater here. Who's this?
Yeah, that's my daughter, Kylie.
Oh, hey.
She's a lightweight and always smiling and always bouncing off the walls. So skateboarding for her is probably the perfect thing to get her just out there having fun and being herself, right?
Mm-hmm.
She just turned 6.
What do we got here, Mike? Nice boards.
Yeah. So of course, when I decided to open an indoor skate park, I wasn't rolling in money. I was in a huge debt, like always. And, you know, I was like, I'm going to get this place. We're going to build a skate park, and we're going to leave it up to the people to make it work. And so I literally put up a post of me holding a set of keys, saying what I was going to do, and then starting a fundraiser. And these boards were part of that initial fundraiser. There was 50 of them at $100 a piece, pre-ordered. So the money came in before I purchased the boards, and yeah, they sold like hotcakes. That was a good chunk of money to get us going, right?
Mm-hmm. Great idea. Nice keepsake. Oh, more young skaters. Yeah. Who are these little rippers?
Yeah, so that's Mac. He's the little guy, and then his sister Marlon. And, you know, Mac, he reminds me of Andy when he was a little kid. And just amazing kid, naturally talented at whatever he wants to be. And he joined my lessons that I was teaching outdoor at the skate park, just a very small private group, about a month before I got the keys to this place. And it was just by fluke. We happened to meet at the skate park, and I mentioned to him he needed to get some softer bushings because he was so light and he couldn't turn on his board. And that conversation went back to his mom, and then she came and talked to me, and I ended up telling her, I said, you know, I teach lessons if he wants to join. And they were actually the very first kids to skate inside this building, was that little group.
Cool.
And right now, Mac, he learns from Kalen. So he does private lessons from my son, Kalen, who's only 12. And so that kind of runs down the chain, right? I teach Kalen everything he knows. He teaches Mac everything he knows. And then all of a sudden I'm looking at Mac doing these tricks online, and I'm like, hey, that's my trick, right? And he's only 7 now.
Nice work, Mike. Nice work, Mike. You got the chain there. Now, sick looking bowl here. Your carpentry skills on display here, no doubt. Who do these folks in the photo with you, Mike? And what do you got here?
Yeah, so the guy in the red shirt is Johnny Schroeder, and he lives here and works here. And he is the man when it comes to skateboarding and Hope. So out of everyone that grew up in that generation of the original skate park here in the 90s and the early 2000s, he's the guy that I just knew needed to be a part of this place. And super glad that he is. The other guy is Jason Arnold. He's a friend of mine that lives in Sunshine Valley with me. He doesn't live at my house, but we both live in Sunshine Valley. And he just needed something to do during that time period to keep him from drinking. And I said, come and help me build this bowl every day. So he was down there every day And, you know, that bowl was torture. I used existing corner coping from the RDS park, from the oval shape bowl. And so I started with the coping to like line it all up. And then I built down from there. And that's just the opposite way of doing it. And I'd never do that again, but it worked and we got it done and it's awesome.
Free coping. Cool. No doubt.
Oh, yeah.
Little history about the RDS park there too. Now you're giving a lesson here in this photo. Is that what's happening?
So Johnny is there in the black, and then AJ Zabel, he's my main worker here. He's in the other colored shirt, and they are the ones taking over the lessons for me. So I personally taught the lessons with them as my helpers for the first 3 months, maybe 4. And then I stepped right back. Teaching lessons is really painful for me. It hurts my body. So I stepped back and I let them do it. And our usual lessons are either Wednesdays or Saturdays during the month. And so AJ teaches Wednesdays and Johnny teaches Saturdays. And then they both have helpers if we have a lot of kids.
Super cool. Super cool.
Yeah.
Everyone knows this guy on the right. Who's the guy on the left?
Yeah. So Kevin Harris, obviously.
Cool.
This was the young kid's name is Alex Rempel. Really cool kid. Just this kid's one of those guys that like you tell him to step it up and he is going to break himself until he does what he needs to do. He will go for it until it's over. And this was from the Backyard Bash contest we did in September. There was 300 and something people that came out to it.
Wow.
And it was a bunch of obstacles that I built in the back lot of this place in 2 weeks. So it was kind of funny. And this was the grand prize from our raffle that we had that day. And it was the very first Maple Road skateboard deck that was in Canada.
Wow. And
Kevin is now launching this as a Canadian company right now with Glenn from Australia. So Alex has the very first one. So
incredible.
You know, that smile is real.
Very nice of Kevin Harris to come out and show up too and help you out with your program there. That's nice of him.
Kevin's good with me. We've done a lot of things together, and he just wants to support skateboarding in any way. As soon as I told him I was building this place, he was like, "What do you need? I've got so much, anything." And there was actually a lot of pieces of RDS Park still stored up in the barn in Sunshine Valley because Kevin's an owner up there of the land. And so I took a lot of stuff from that storage to help build this place. So thanks, Kevin.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin. Super cool. Another great Kevin Harris story.
Yeah.
Now, Andy Anderson, what's going on here?
Yeah. So this is at the Backyard Bash.
Cool.
Like I said, I built the whole park in 2 weeks. There's cedar surfacing, there's concrete, there's brick quarter pipes, there's plywood, there's skate light. I built a concrete volcano literally 3 days before the event. I don't know how it cured in time. Must have been warm out. But this is Andy being Andy on the flat bank. And that photo is from Ryan Clark from Ripper Skate Mag. So,
wow, a photo can say 1,000 words, and that one right there, he's got the etnies on, he's riding the experimental Andy board, he's got the helmet on like you described, he's doing something crazy cool freestyle. That's a great photo, Mike.
Yeah.
All right, next photo.
I like the background as well.
Hey, who's this guy?
Yeah, I know that guy.
You look good.
He's all right.
You look good. Love the logo.
This was the cake. Yeah, that's the logo that Serena did for the contest. So that contest was, before we opened. And after she won, I told her, I said, you have to hand paint it on my wall now. And she's like, well, I've never painted before. I said, well, learn. So took her 3 days, right? But yeah, that cake was our 1 year anniversary cake. So that was 1 year from having the keys. So I got the keys on October 6th of 2020. So that would have been October 6th, 2021.
Wow. Already a year in. Now I got one more
And then
killer
I ate
photo
the whole
here.
cave myself.
Is that before this Ollie Blunt or after the Ollie Blunt there, Mike?
Yeah, yeah. So this was also taken by Ryan from Ripper. Um, we did a shirt series that it's kind of funny, you know, you sponsor guys all the time, and everybody, as they get better, they get their own stuff with their name or their label or their image on it or whatever. And instead of doing that for my team riders, I did it for my staff, my key staff players, and that's myself, Kalen, my son, AJ, Zabel, and Johnny Schroeder. And so each, I think it was every 6 weeks from August until the end of the year, we put out a new clothing item that had one of us doing a trick on it. And started with Johnny, and then it went to AJ, and then it was Kalen, and then mine was last. And so this was my image. So it was, we would do a trick, and then we would just change it to an outline tracing, basically. But when I did this one, I was like, you know, I got enough stuff with me on it. So I took their 3 logos and put this one in it. And then I got my friend Jody McBride. She was doing the graphics for me. I said, do a fence and all this weird stuff, and I'll blunt the fence, and the other guys can be doing their tricks on it as well. So it ended up being a 4-person collage for the last shirt. That's what this photo was taken for.
Nice story behind that, Mike. That's really cool.
And I love my blunts.
Looks like you got it nailed on that one. Super good. That's
Yeah.
not an easy trick, by the way. I remember that one getting learned. That was a tough one to learn there. Now, Mike, we've covered a lot of good subjects here. We're almost done. I want to just have you one more thing here. How important, in a nutshell, is it for a community to have a place like yours, either outdoor or indoor? People talk about mental health. They talk about the well-being of the next generation and the current generations. But just wrap it up for us. What has this really done for the community of Hope?
So one of my purposes in life that I've discovered over the years of just everything that I've done is raising the next generation to be better than ours. And that's what this place is about, right? You know, if you go into a business as an indoor skate park as just making money, you're not going to survive, number one, but you're in it for the wrong reasons, right? We are here for the community. Exactly what you just said. We are here to raise those kids, to give them a place to go, to give them better mental health and physical health. This is what it's about. And if every city, I mean, you know, at the end of the 90s, outdoor skate parks finally started popping up, right? Thanks to New Line, just heading away in Canada, right? And without those outdoor skate parks, what are all these people doing? We're street skating, we're doing everything on our own limits. But with the skate park now, it's kind of like there for anybody to try, and you're visually seeing it, so you're like, oh, I could participate in that, right? To do it on an indoor, it's not visible from the outside, so you need to attract the people in somehow. But once they're here, they feel that vibe. They feel like that family style of skateboarding, and they want to be part of it. And if we can reach out to these kids at a very young age and raise them through all the mistakes that we made, right? Everything we did in life, good and bad, is for our purpose to teach the next generation, right? And so I just think that everywhere should be building an indoor facility of some sort, even if it's just once a week that ramps come out of storage and they get to ride them. And then it goes back into storage until the next week, right? Like, it's so important. It's so important.
Wow. You're dead on there, Mike. And it's ironic you mentioned it, because I just got a message from a ripper out in Regina, Saskatchewan, with some clips that they just got an indoor place to skate, and they're already crushing it. So this is happening, and there's more of it happening, and you're definitely a trendsetter. What can I say, Mike? you've done well here. Thanks for explaining to everyone what you're up to and inspiring, hopefully, others across the country and across the world to take the torch and run with it. We're going to say goodbye, Mike. I love it. Thanks so much for coming on today and talking to us about HMI Skate Park and what you're up to, and let's rock. Thanks again, Mike.
Right on, dude. Thanks.
Yeah, we'll talk again. Super cool. Folks, HMI Skate Park. Hippie Mike, Mike Foe, great story. Doing a great thing out on the West Coast for the skaters of all ages in Hope, BC. I'm going to tail her off. It's Roger from Skateboard Canada. Thanks for joining me once again. Talk to you later.